Hey everyone, welcome back to NFT PFPs by Avaissance. This is Pre-Mint Community Building, part 3 of 5. So the first thing you want to ask yourself when thinking about what type of community you're building is what type of brand are you building? Is it going to be an anime slash storytelling brand? Is it a cute and cartoony brand? Is it more of a weird, funky vibe, 3D contemporary? Or, what a lot of people will wrongly seek after is Veblen and provenance. So you really need to identify a theme around your collection. It doesn't have to be something listed here. These are just examples of what have been done. But this will inform everything that you do afterwards. For example, if Doodles were to start selling Air Force Ones, it'd be a little off-brand. And if Clonex were to start selling plushies on Amazon, it also wouldn't make a lot of sense. So it all starts with the art and theme that you're building your collection around, and that's going to inform and affect all the things that you do in the future. Too often, I think art in newer ecosystems tends to lack a clear direction, and they go after the Veblen provenance category. Everyone knows what Bored Apes are, everyone knows what punks are, but you shouldn't make your art look like that just because the top collections on the Ethereum blockchain also look like that. There doesn't need to be a punk collection or pixel art collection on every blockchain, nor does there need to be a wacky animal collection on every blockchain. I'm not saying you can't, but you want to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and be sure to be informed around what exactly the theme of your collection is. Azuki is a great example of this. They were highly original, one of the first anime NFT collections to, really hit any blockchain, and now they're the number 3 collection on Ethereum. So don't be afraid to be original. It's very important to identify the theme and know why you're doing that. So one way to think about this is to picture in your head, what is your ideal community member? Over at Valhalla, we kind of put together mood boards to describe what our ideal community member would be into. And for us, it was someone who was into traditional gaming, hardcore gamers, people that played Fortnite, League of Legends, that were fans of, FaZe Clan, Sentinels, watched a lot of Twitch streamers, stuff like that. And putting all this together really helped us inform the marketing and the art and the community that we built around Valhalla. And you'll see here the pictures below. This was actually our event in New York City, and what we were really delighted to see was when people came together. It really was just a group of people that were into gaming. A lot of gamers. A lot of people were actually playing the games at our event. We held it at kind of an arcade type bar in New York City, and it was just cool to see that this community and ideal community member we envisioned actually came to life. So many months later. So is your collection going to be about art? Is it going to be around the community, or is it something else? This is where people get into roadmaps. So you can see the examples on the left. You have the MFers, you have the FF 8000, orange squares, and then you have the Nakamigos. These are very much collections that are just about art. They never really promise anything. It's just a fun PFP that you can mint and use as a profile picture online. Nothing more, nothing less. In the middle, you have kind of something that's a little more vague. You have Azuki's mind map, and then you have the Bored Ape Yacht Club fun little like treasure map, which was their roadmap 2.0. So these are kind of a little light on the details, but tell you what values or high-level goals and whatnot that the collection wants to accomplish. And then on the right, you have examples from PXN and Moonbirds, which are very, very specific and tell you exactly to a T what you may expect if you were to mint one of these NFTs. So it's important to decide, what you're trying to accomplish with your collection. This is all informed by the theme and identity that we talked about earlier, but all of it ties together, and it's important to think about these things before you actually go to market. So now we'll touch on some community building strategies. What we did at Valhalla, we did an application system where people would actually fill out an application and basically answer some questions around things like, what type of games do you like? Why do you think you'd be a good community member, and so on. We found this to be a pretty effective way to allocate whitelists to people and get people in the community that we sort of handpicked, but it was also very manpower intensive. It takes a lot of time to review all the hundreds or thousands of applications that come in. So, it worked in some ways, it didn't work in some ways. This is just one example. You could do a starter collection. This is probably most or best recommended for people with a smaller team. Let's say you're a solo artist, you may already have a Genesis collection or be planning to mint a Genesis collection. So what you can do is you come out with a very small supply Genesis collection. You see this example from the CPG collection. They came out with a collection of only 335. And then from there, they launched a much larger collection with almost 3,000 items. So by doing this, you can build a strong, tight-knit, but small community around this smaller Genesis collection and kind of use that to build it into a larger community. But from there, you will at least have, some community, regardless of how small it is, and some people supporting you when you eventually do come to the larger collection. You can do honoraries. This was a popular method that was used, a year or two ago. People will basically create a second honorary collection where they have an avatar in the collection, in the style and art direction of that collection, but to look like certain influencers or thought leaders within the space, they're PFPs. So you can see these Nakamigos examples, over here in the middle you have Betty, the founder of Deadfellas. This is kind of like a Nakamigos style version of her Deadfella PFP. So this is a good way to potentially get noticed by some of these influencers or thought leaders that you want to talk about your project, and if they end up liking the art, they may even help promote your project. So this is something that works if you have a strong art team and a very distinct art style where you can kind of Nakamigofy, other people's PFPs. You can do co-marketing and collabs. This works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes. You can talk to influencers and have them run giveaways. You can collab with other projects. The problem here is you kind of give up control of the messaging, and you do start associating your project with another project. So if you do go this route, make sure you're very careful with who you pick to be your collab or paid marketing partners. Grassroots is always recommended, but it's also very hard to do. This is basically just picking out members one at a time. It's slow, it can be painful, it's methodical, but it allows you to handpick and interact with each and every community member that you pick. And finally, you can do user-generated content or UGC contests. This is a great way to highlight the art and talent within your community, where you have people create UGC around your collection theme, your collection art style, and it also just works as marketing material where you have a bunch of people, creating art as part of these contests. So, everyone knows, Twitter and Discord is where most of this happens. I won't get into too much detail here. You guys can read the slides later on if you want, but I like to think of Twitter as more mass marketing, brand marketing. This is what everyone is going to see. This is the first thing that people will look at when they come across your project. It has a large reach. You should kind of save it for more major announcements, updates and general information to the public for people who aren't on Discord all day. On the other hand, Discord is a very powerful tool for direct marketing and for interacting directly with your community. This is the place where you can actually talk to community members one-on-one. You can engage them with events within the server, games, contests, etc. This is where you can have more frequent community announcements that may not be so important that it needs to take up space on your Twitter feed or Twitter timeline, but minor updates that are relevant to people who are already in the community, checking back constantly. This is where you can tease some reveals, more minor announcements. You can use server pings to engage people and so on. So think of it as more of a private forum. You can also hold live discussions and Q&A with people in chat. So here are some examples of Twitter marketing. You can see here Ether had a really phenomenal trailer that they dropped right before Mint. Azuki used Twitter to announce their big Billy partnership. Valhalla on the bottom right here, this is where we kind of highlighted the holder billboards that we got put up during NFT NYC. And you want to be very organized and have a content calendar of sorts to organize what kind of announcements are going out on which day. Because once you start marketing, it's going to be fast and furious. People will be expecting updates periodically. Attention spans are short in this space. So it's important to have all your content ready, or a lot of it ready, and have it spaced out and have have somewhat of an idea of when you're going to release each one. Discord, on the other hand, you can see over here, these are examples of how you can leverage the voice channels to stream games, to play mini games with other people, but it's also important to have it set up securely. You know, servers get raided all the time. There's a lot of scammers on Discord, so it's important to have someone on your team who's familiar with using bots and server security to set it all up in a good way. It's also a good way to brand your server. You can see the Izumo server over here. You know, they're kind of an anime VTubing project, and you can label your channels as such. Tickets are also a very powerful tool for basically customer support if people have questions or need direct support from someone on the team. It's also important to think about moderators and staffing. You know, Discord is on 24/7, and you obviously are not. Everyone has to sleep. So you're going to want moderators in different time zones, staffing across different time zones, and just making sure that there's, you know, generally always someone keeping an eye on the Discord, if not directly engaging with people on Discord. So with that, we'll end the pre-mint community building section. You know, again, you can go over the slides in more detail later on, and we'll see you guys back for part 4.